Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So I have some very important news, let alone some very crazy news. I know you all been hearing that Donald Trump has hinted and commented on serving a third term. But before we go over that, we'll cover some other headline news, but I definitely won't have you guys waiting. But nonetheless, in a rare expression of frustration, President Trump declared he is very angry with President Putin over the Ukraine war. And this comes after Putin reportedly rejected peace terms unless Ukraine removes President Zelensky. Trump now threatens to slap massive tariffs on Russian oil, which is a major pivot from his earlier admiration of the Russian leader. The gloves are off and Trump's tone is shifting. Now, it seemed as though President Zelensky was right. And anyone, even myself, that was stating ill will about President Zelensky in the terms of President Trump does not know President Putin like he does, we'll have to say that we're all wrong, that we all made a mistake. Because President Trump is now angry at President Putin because President Putin keeps changing the terms of the ceasefire. First is the land that Russia has already seized, that will remain Russia, and then we can have a ceasefire to negotiate anything further. But the lands that we already occupy in Ukraine is now Russia. So somehow they were getting close to a ceasefire, or at least meeting for the ceasefire. Then he drops another bombshell and states, well, we won't have this ceasefire until President Zelensky steps down. Now he's controlling every aspect of Ukraine. You're taking the land, and now you're trying to have the president to step down. That has nothing to do with a ceasefire, because whoever you're negotiating with, and all these other European nations and outside nations should be holding both Ukraine and Russia to that ceasefire, but they can't even get to the ceasefire because President Putin has been changing the terms. And President Zelensky told President Trump. Now, excluding his escapade when he was in the White House, I'm talking about President Zelensky, he doesn't get a pass, but for this conversation, we're excluding it because he told President Trump, President Putin is not to be trusted. He has told me similar things before, and he has violated those agreements as well. You don't know Putin like I know Putin. And President Trump said, well, he's never had an issue with me. I never had an issue with President Putin. And these previous presidents, he was hard on them. He know I don't play that. That's what President Trump was stating. You know what I understand in politics, today's politics? Where's the honesty and transparency? You see how I can report on the right just as equally as I can report on the left? And I think people who tend to like politicians or what they're doing, regardless of what they do that's false, they always take their side. And you don't always take your children's side. You don't always take your family side, at least not, publicly. You're not always taking people's side. So these are politicians. They're just representatives. Most of us will never meet these people in person. I just don't get the delusion. Because again, I base things off the information I can find. And now it seems as though President Zelensky, his remarks, his comments, his diatribe on President Putin is becoming even more true. Now, granted, there's going to be a lot of people on the left. It's going to be a lot of liberals and Democrats stating, we told you. And guess what? It's okay to say you're right. That's why I don't play the whole left and right game. I don't play, well, I'm center, I'm a centrist, I'm an independent. No. That's the problem that I think most Americans get mixed up with, that we always have to take a side. We have to be a Democrat, Republican, or independent. We have to be a Catholic, a Jew, a Christian, or a Muslim. That we just have to take a side. We have to categorize everything. You can't just be a human being that is an American citizen that is looking at all parties equally. Some things you agree with, some things you disagree with. The political party that you agree with the more, the party you should vote for, because it hits more your milestones, rather your key points, the things that you want to see in our government. I just don't understand why Pete Hegseth didn't come out and stated that he made a mistake in the Signal chat. That there were some very delicate and sensitive and secret information that I mistakenly and blundered. And this is a possibility that the bombing on Yemen couldn't have been unsuccessful, but thank God it was. And I've apologized to the president, and I'm taking steps that this will never happen again. But Pete Hegseth didn't come out and say that. He didn't come out and apologize and be transparent. They always trying to deflect. And we, the people, are the ones supposed to hold them to the letter, not just agree with them because we admire them because they said or did something. I mean, who are they for? Are they for themselves or they're for the American people? That's what I want to know. Because now, once again, I don't really hear anyone on the right. I don't hear any strong conservative saying that I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, I'm a MAGA, I'm this, I'm that. Yeah, because I don't hate on any political party because, again, when I say political parties, I'm not talking about the citizens. If you guys don't hold no appointions, no selections, or no election, you're not a politician. You just assume the title of conservative. You assume the title of liberal. Oh, I'm a registered conservative, though. I'm a registered Republican. What I mean is you have no power. You just stated that you're part of this gang or you're part of that gang, in my opinion. Is this an admission slip? It's a sign-up roster. That's all. You just stating that, okay, you're Republican. But you don't have any power. I'm talking about the politicians. We're the strong, constitutional, right-winged conservatives to come out and denounce every bit that Donald Trump uttered in a report that he's actually not joking about serving as a third term. This is when we start getting to dictatorship. Simply because people admired him and what he's doing, all of a sudden, the same foundational documents that make America America, the same founding fathers that you hold true and honor to, all of a sudden, people are now backing like Steve Bannon for Trump to hold a third term. See, in the system of white supremacy, they take both sides of the argument. They can make the laws and they can break the laws. Why do you think the brutality that we have in police, not police brutality, because I don't want to frame all police in a bad light, because there is good police, and if something will occur, I will call 911 and hopefully a good police will come. What is a good police? That he sees a situation for what it is and not what he has been emotionally traumatized to believe. That he sees when he comes on a scene or a case or a 911 call, that he sees a situation for what it is and not what he's been emotionally disrupted about or influenced about or subconscious bias, as they say. Where are these people at? Where are these people at? They'll look at things very clearly, because I want to make sure there's a fine line. There's a fine line, and I'm going to tell you the line. What is white supremacy for a white person? Not stating that you're a nationalist or you're a part of some white supremacy group like, American Nazis or something like that. No. How do you know when you have the same ideology as a white supremacist as a white person. You see, I'm not stating that all white people are white supremacists. I don't believe that. But what is a keynote? What is a point that someone can say that automatically aligns with white supremacy? When you believe that the police can do no bad, and that the propaganda that we all agree on that occurs in mass media and legacy media and mass media news and information in documentaries and TV shows that paint certain groups of people as one thing, or that they're all or the majority of that one thing. How do you back the blue when it happens to you? Not police brutality, but the brutality in police. When they treat one group of people different than the other group of people. Where are those people at when it comes to Donald Trump uttering anti-constitutional, anti-amendment clauses? Like, I'm not joking about serving a third term. I just don't understand. Where are these people at? Maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm not going to go to a reputable news site and actually play what Donald Trump has said.
Also making headlines today, President Trump said he is considering serving a third term despite the constitutional ban. He made the remarks to NBC News. When asked about the details, the president said, "I'm not joking, and there are methods which you could do it." When pressed about those methods and asked if Vice President Vance could pass the role to him, Mr. Trump indicated that is one way and added, "But there are others too." The 22nd Amendment, which was added to the Constitution in 1951, says no person can be elected to the office of president more than twice. The growing measles outbreak in Texas is sparking.
So that last part was very imperative because she said it off the 22nd Amendment. And again, I asked, where are those constitutionals, or where they're, and this is, and I'm pretty sure there's liberals and Democrats as well, but we know that a high concentration of people who state they're constitutionalists, or they want things to go back to where the Constitution intended for it to be. We know a lot of those people are conservative. We know a lot of those people are Republicans. Where are they now? Now, Steve Bannon jumped on the bandwagon a long time ago, talking about that because of the way the Constitution was written, that Donald Trump can actually serve a third term, but President Obama cannot, because he served 2 consecutive terms, whereas though Donald Trump he's serving 2, but they're not consecutive. So they try to find these loopholes in the very same laws they hold true. When you align your mind with that, that is when you are a white supremacist. And here's the thing, being a white supremacist is not only being a white person. Can you be a white supremacist and be black, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander? No. You personally cannot be a white supremacist, but you can uphold the system and infrastructure of white supremacy because you support it. But at any given moment, they can take your power from which the system of white supremacy gave you because you're not white. But you can definitely support the system. I just wonder where the constitutionals at. Because Trump said he's considering ways he could serve a third term. Now, while the U.S. Constitution bars presidents from serving more than 2 terms, Trump still hinted at unorthodox methods that some could challenge existing legal norms. And we go back to the liberals. We go back to the Democrats, because I've been stating this for a very long time now. Both political parties lie. The problem in this last election is that the Democratic liberal lies of the Kamala Harris campaign / Biden campaign was too egregious, and we could just see it for what it was. You can't just tell a bold-faced lie. You got to be more deceptive like the Republicans. And that's why Kamala Harris never became president, because their lies, their disrespect was just too bold. It was too in front of your face. And the only thing the Republicans did was showing the people your lies. They focused on the lies of the Democrats. They focused on the fraud of the Democrats. Both parties, in my opinion, commit fraud. I don't know which party has more fraud, but I can tell you this. The Republican Party showed a lot of the fraud of the Democrats. And the Democrats could not show as much fraud as the conservatives. So that is why Donald Trump, that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump is in office. But now, Donald Trump is speaking like a dictator. This is the beginning, this is a start of a dictatorship. As people was mostly relating Project 2025, and I've always been stating that Trump had Agenda 47. And I've always stated that Agenda 47 has certain elements, certain pieces here and there of Project 2025, but it wasn't the exact same thing. Because again, this is about power. And not just any power. Because as people say about the patriarchy, they've been mentioning white men more and more and more. And they said some of the deconstructing of minorities' power or influence is by cutting programs that leave them disabled. But nobody wants to talk about this side because, again, when you align yourself with certain political parties, you are prevented in some regards of telling the truth. But when you don't pick a side and the only side that you pick is truth, then you'll never have a problem. The problem is we're always choosing sides. Just choose truth and you'll be okay. I think that's best. I think that's the best thing that we can do. So there was a devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake that rocked Miramar here, leaving over 1,600 dead and thousands more fear trapped or injured. And aid groups are calling out the Trump administration deep cuts to U.S. aid, arguing they're crippling global relief efforts just when they need it most. Critics say lives could have been saved with a more robust response system. Now, I'm switching gears here. For people who have the intellectual prowess to switch gears, we're going to go back to Trump. We're going to go back to Trump. Because in my opinion, cutting U.S. aid to alleviate our debt and to help and support more Americans is the right thing to do. Miramar is in Asia, East Asia, but they're trying to make it as though it's the Trump administration or the Americans' reasons why these people are not going to get the help that they need. Wait a minute. Are there more countries in the world than America? Oh, ever since you stopped paying us that money that you never owed us. I want you guys to think about this. I'm no friend of the Trump administration, no friend of the Biden administration. I just want to give you guys my perspective on this. Let's take, for instance, you were helping someone now. You say, hey, man, until I can no longer do it, I'm going to give you $100 every month. And they say, man, I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that. And then you say, hey, I'm going to have to stop giving you $100. I had some other things to take care of, I know I can no longer do it because it was just a love gift. You were just helping a friend out, a buddy out, a family member, somebody. You didn't owe them anything. You just was doing it out the kindness of your heart, like U.S. aid. Then we say, well, we had somebody come in and look at our budget. We had somebody come and look at our books that we're almost $37 trillion in debt. And somebody now cares. So again, we have to cut this funding. Oh, because you cut that funding, hey, bruh, because you cut the funding, I can't buy my family no food no more. It's my fault because you can't buy your family food. It's our fault. It's the Trump administration fault because they had an earthquake and there's over 200 countries in the world, but they're calling out America. Again, this is stupidity. This is when you bite the hand that feeds you. I know a lot of you guys probably, have situations where you was helping somebody out and then they started to backbite you, backstab you, say things behind your back as if you wasn't only helping them and you was getting nothing in return. Hope you guys can switch gears like I did because this is, again, disrespectful for certain news agencies. I'm not speaking about the people of Myanmar. The tragedy, okay, it's just unbearable. A lot of people have lost their lives. I hope they can, regain their footing. I hope they can get support from other people. But don't call out America out of the other 200-something countries simply because we cut a program that was not benefiting Americans. We have millions of American homeless. We have millions of Americans with mental problems. And we're supposed to be the most powerful country in the world where everybody wants to come and benefit off America and start their own businesses and send money back home. But as soon as we do something for ourselves, now everybody has a problem. And watch these damn liberals come out and start talking about money they're not going to pay. Oh, we should be supporting them. And again, I told you, Myanmar, I hope their country can be rebuilt even better than what it is. But am I going to stand behind, am I going to stand behind my government if we choose to keep our money in our pockets and try to alleviate the American debt and help out Americans first? Absolutely. Maybe I want the best for our country more than other people. Maybe that's what it is. Now, of course, Trump is back with, saber-rattling diplomacy because this time he's threatening military action if Iran refuses to make a nuclear deal. If they don't cooperate, we'll bomb them like never before, Trump warned. And Iran, for its part, continues to deny it's building nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, tensions in the Middle East are simmering again. Now, I thought Trump was a peacetime president. That's what I kept hearing from a lot of my conservative buddies. Trump is a peacetime president. What is he now? Oh, well, he has to be tough on Iran because if they start making nuclear facilities again and making nukes, they come to a threat to a world. They have a lot of terrorists and unstable governments. We can't let countries like this have nuclear capabilities. If they tell you that, then what do you say? Is there other diplomatic ways to go about this instead of threatening another country that you're going to drop bombs? And we have to think about this. I don't think people make the connections, and maybe, again, this could be far-fetched. We are allies with Israel, and we've been supporting the war with Israel, whether it be financially or with military equipment, for the just cause of hunting down terrorists that committed a tragic accident to the Israelites that were there. But in that support, indirectly, listen to me, I love my country, but let's just keep it real. Indirectly, we supported the slaughter of almost 40,000 people, men, women, and children who were not Hamas. indirectly and unfortunately. What am I getting at? Do you think that the Muslim countries that we are allies with or we're neutral with, do you believe that they know what's going on? I do. You think they're taking to this lightly? I don't. And if we go to war with Iran, even though we can wipe, Iran off the map, I'm almost inclined to believe that other Middle Eastern countries are going to support Iran, either with soldiers, military equipment, or money. And again, there are certain wars that America just don't want to get into. Not that we're not going to win. I know that we're going to win, but at what cost? We don't want to fight Iraq anymore. We don't want Iraq forces to join with Iran forces. Iran forces form with Yemen forces and Syria forces and Saudi Arabia forces. We don't want to fight. And because a lot of the trouble due to economics and trade wars, is it possible that our allies of NATO, the UE nations that we're raising the tariffs on, is it possible they will help us and assist us in this war against the Middle East? Is it possible they will assist us because President JD Vance flew over to Greenland and told the Greenlandic people that you're better under America while he was in Greenland? This straight disrespect to the point where now the Prime Minister of Denmark is flying over to Greenland. Good. I mean, yeah, you should definitely be flying over, seeing how you can fortify the country, because again, the American government has changed. And from the very beginning out, if you notice, you can't stand 10 toes down on BS. And I'm not taking the liberal side, but I will say a lot of the Democrats, in some regards, were right. Because now we're seeing how things are forming up, shaping up, and I was right on the train until I wasn't. Now I'm standing idly by and analyzing every single thing that's going on, because it looks as though we may be losing friends. Hopefully that changes around. We're talking war talks, even though we stated that this was a peacetime president. And we're going to have people to give him an excuse on every single thing. When can I turn to Fox News and just have someone just give the real perspective, unbiased perspective, and an analytical breakdown of the things that the Trump administration is doing around the world, whether it be military, economics, or socially? Again, the things that he does well, I point those out. The things that he's doing this idiotic and chaotic, I point those out. So when you go listen to people and they state that they're unbiased and they're this and they're that, watch about 10 of their videos and see if they ever switch up when they receive more information. Because people would rather show loyalty than give you the truth. What I mean, they will be loyal to their political parties and or to their own rhetoric. And even though that they're wrong, they're going to be loyal to it. The stupidity and always trying to twist the narrative rather than just give you the truth. Now, as I stated before, Denmark's prime minister, she's actually going over to Greenland between April 2nd and April 4th in a very clear move to reaffirm ties with the semi-autonomous Arctic territory. And the timing isn't lost on anyone because the U.S. has been eyeing Greenland for its strategic value and untapped resources. And this visit by the prime minister, it really signals that Denmark won't give up control easily. What is that stating? Are we going to take Denmark? Is President Trump going to take a third term? Are we going to bomb Iran? Are we going to stop supporting Ukraine? Are we going to stop supporting Israel? I'm just asking a question because as I comb through these stories, you have JD Vance that flies over to Greenland and tell the Greenlandic people that you're better off as Americans. You're better off under the control of America. Our vice president did that. Not the state secretary, not an ambassador, not a representative, but the vice president flies into the territory of the jurisdiction of Denmark and Greenland being its own sovereign country, basically disrespected two countries. No phone talks, no press conferences. You fly in and you tell the Greenlanders that you're better off under America. You know what that sounds like to me, and I know it's a stretch. I know it's a stretch. It sounds like slavery. I did it. I know. Turn off your TVs. That's what Kendrick said. Turn your TV off. Turn your TV off. I did it because think about it. You're basically telling a group of people on sovereign land that you now fall under the United States of America. And better yet, I'll make the word more modern. Some people are, that's not slavery, because I get it. I did it for shock and awe. But the true word I'm looking for is colonism. Communism, not communism. Colonialism, thank you, colonialism. It sounds as though we're trying to colonize Greenland. Make Greenland American again. Is that a word? Is that abbreviation? It's a lot going on in politics, and a lot of things, as I stated before, was moving way too fast. And now we see that the reason why things are moving fast was to get the American people on board, be happy with the actions of the Trump administration, and then when things as though it's going as with the president state he was going to do, a lot of Americans are behind him. We know we're going to go through a couple of rough spots. We're going to go through a couple of, turbulent milestones, but we're going to get there. America will be great again. America first. America will be great again. All on board. Now, the president that people voted for based upon the Constitution is now referring to and now intending to violate the same Constitution for the America he said makes great again. Think about that. Make America great again. Well, if you're changing the Constitution, it can't be that great. The founding fathers created documentations to build the governmental infrastructure of America. And now it seems as though President Trump is trying to dismantle the very same Constitution that appoint him his power to be president. Huh? Where are all the constitutional at? Where are the conservatives and Republicans who are coming out in droves, in hundreds, in thousands, and speaking against this? Well, there's a loophole in the Constitution. Now everybody's going to be making excuses. I know I jumped the gun when I told you this, but I had to. Because again, Vice President Vance, he told the locals they'd be better off under U.S. governance. And while he was in Greenland, he totally slammed the Denmark's administration, calling it slow and ineffective. And of course, these comments sparked protests, and it opened up a bigger conversation. Could Greenland one day become America's 51st state? Or could Greenland be a territory of America? This is why the Prime Minister of Denmark is flying over to Greenland to speak to their chiefs of state? I'm going to read some of your comments. I'm glad I didn't vote for the Republican or the Democrat. President Trump is a dictator and is going to take over the government if not stopped. The U.S. deserves a president goofy and a president dictator dump. Allen states, in 1797, your Democratic Party, not my Democratic Party, I'm not a Democrat, Republican, nor independent. I'm just a guy on the internet giving the news. Thank you very much. So in this case, it says the Democratic Party spent millions of our tax dollars to help to overthrow my king and replace him with a child molester. For heaven's sake, people, educate yourself. Okay. I don't know what America's going to do about that, but okay. Let's see here. It's a lot of we and us. We speak in French now. Indeed, we are. I'm speaking to the American citizens. So if you're an American citizen, then we. That means yes. If you say it in Spanish, it's CC. Okay, I'm being silly. Bionic Women said it doesn't help to disrespect countries like this. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. Canada included. I totally agree. Thank you. All right, let's move on. New voter registration and voter check-in. Because Trump signed an executive order stating that in order for you to vote, you have to be a citizen. In order for you to vote, you need to be a citizen. I think that's what every American citizen wants, that people that are lying. And here's why this is so important. Now, I thought about this very quickly. Bear with me. Now, traveling is one of my pastimes. I love traveling. I love to go to other countries. I love to experience their culture. I try to learn a couple of words of their language, thank you, hi, bye, good morning, good night, where's the bathroom, over there. This little basic stuff that'll help me navigate and be polite. But I love going to other countries and enjoying their culture, their food, their interesting artifacts, museums, activities, you name it. And we're going to get into this, but there's a lot of countries that are very, very safe. And then there's other countries not so safe for apparent reasons. But in these safe countries, you know what I've realized? That the majority of the people have the same culture and ideology. They may not be the same race, but majority of the countries I'm referring to are primarily the same race. And if they're not the same race, they have the same culture and ideology. And I'm going to get on that. But that's what I tell you about voter registration. Now, I'm going to go over this name very quickly. This name isn't actually important because I was trying to find out. This first name, according to the bump here, it says that is from Hebrew origin. I don't know if you guys see that the name here is from Hebrew origin. And the name that I do not know how to pronounce look like a Vazar or Vazar. I don't know if the A is silent or not, but it's from Hebrew origin, supposedly. Now, the last name here, let me see if I can. Okay, the last name is Pelialos. And they say, and I looked everywhere for this name, they said that it's from Spanish origin. Okay, Spanish origin. So the first one is Hebrew, the second one is Spanish. What am I getting at? I want to share a clip with you guys. And I know this clip has been going very, very viral, but I want your take on this.
Enough! Don't touch me! Enough! Enough! I'm serious. You cannot be standing up anymore. Serious.
His job is to assist these special needs children on and off the bus and to watch them and take care of them while the bus driver does their thing and pays attention to the road.
From both the cell phone video and the bus cameras, you can see this man walking toward the 9-year-old girl who was standing up.
As she turns around to begin to sit, you see our suspect walk up. He aggressively grabs her from underneath her arms, lifts her up, aggressively places her in the seat towards the corner of the seat and the side of the bus near the window. And then you see him aggressively.
If that was my little girl, I'd probably be in jail right now because that gentleman wouldn't make it very far.
Authorities have told us that the school district is already taking action.
I know, you can speak with the school board. They immediately.
Okay. I want you to look at this gentleman's face here. Now, I'm going to just give you my perspective. Please leave it in the chat. This is not a black man. Yes, he has dark skin. Now, in my opinion, based upon his name, first name is Hebrew. Of course, a lot of people, even white people, black people, have Hebrew first names, and his last name is Spanish. But I don't even think he's Spanish. I was listening to his accent. I want to say that he's either from the Middle East or he's from India. I want to say he's from the Middle East or he's from India. He just doesn't strike me as an African man. If any sense, an African man from Africa, a Caribbean man, or a Black American man. He doesn't look like that for me. I'm just looking at his features. Now, if I'm wrong, then I've never seen someone that was a black man that looked like that wasn't either Middle Eastern, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, or Indian, in my opinion. So again, you might have a better toll on this. Okay, well, what's the point you're making behind this story, Black Logic? Switzerland. So again, I want you guys to look at this, and I'm going somewhere with this, and hopefully you guys just give me a little bit of your attention because I'm trying to make a correlation here. Switzerland. How many foreigners do you believe live in Switzerland? I didn't research it, but I would like to believe that mostly white people live in Switzerland. Norway, Sweden. A lot of these places are very cold. A lot of these places like Switzerland, Norway, Sweden, maybe Austria, but I know the first three, they're mostly those Viking communities that where Vikings supposedly have came out of, Denmark as well, Greenland, Iceland, all those countries up north where it's very, very cold. But again, this is the safest countries in the world. And they're majority, these three here are majority white countries. Okay, Austria, Denmark, number 5, Canada, number 6, Finland. Now, when you go up to Canada, depending on where you go at in Canada, some parts of Canada, you're going to see nothing but white people. In other parts of Canada, you're going to only see Asian people. And in other parts, you're going to see some Africans and, of course, Canadians. But I just want you to look at all of these countries. All of these countries are what? All of these countries are what? Finland, New Zealand, Australia, Belgium. All of these countries are majority white. And they're the safest countries in the world, according to U.S. News. Y'all don't know where I'm going at with this, but let me finish this real quick. The 10 most dangerous countries in the world, right? Afghanistan, it says it ranks as the world's most dangerous country due to its ongoing conflict, right? You also have over here, see, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, South Sudan. Now, when they say South Sudan, they said Syria, civil war, fighting against each other. Yemen, civil war, fighting against each other. South Sudan, internal conflict and ethnic violence. They're basically talking about genocide. But still, that's sort of a civil war because you have these warring tribes. Now, I'm going to go down here to this list I was about to get into. I'm going to show you guys very quickly here. Here are the most dangerous countries in the world. Why is North Korea dangerous? North Korea is an isolated country that you have to get permission to go to. Now, I don't know the temperament of the people. I don't know the personalities of the people. I don't know if the people are hating living in a communist country or they like living in a communist country. I don't know if they love their leader or hate their leader. I don't know. But why is North Korea dangerous? Now, again, I want you to think about these things being very subjective, because is a country you're born and raised in and you're that race and you have that culture, is that dangerous for you? Now, unstable government, then yes. Let me move on. Ask the people from this African country, is it dangerous for them to be there? And where's the danger coming from? Ethiopia, Central African Republic. Wait a minute. So the safest countries in the world are all white. The top 10 safest countries is all white. Now, North Korea was number 15. It was the very last one, okay? Because they're going from 15 to 1. North Korea is the very last one, which is an Asian country, right? The top 10 safest countries in the world are European. They're white. Now, I'm going through all these other countries. All of these are black. Mali, African country. Iraq, okay, Middle Eastern. Sudan, African. Somali, African. Ukraine. And the only reason, I'm going to tell you this, I'm just going to give you the exception to the rule. The only reason why Ukraine and Russia is on the list right now as being the part of this dangerous countries in the world, because they're at war. That's all. They're at war. Because don't forget, it was even Africans over in Ukraine taking class. It wasn't dangerous until the war broke out. Ukraine, Russia, back to another African country, South Sudan, African country, Syria, Middle Eastern country, Yemen, Middle Eastern country, and Afghanistan. So only one Asian, 3 or 4 Middle Eastern countries, and then the rest African countries. As the dangerous countries in the world, the safest countries in the world, the European countries. What am I getting at? Now, America's, I think, in the top 25 of being the safest, but we know America, that kind of just depends on where you live at and where you go to. That's why you have to avoid some areas. I digress. But when it comes to these countries, right? Now, even though there are some Asian countries in here that are safest, you have Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Korea. Those are very safe Asian countries as well. I probably missed a couple, but I know those countries statistically to be safe. But they have all 10 white countries on here first. And then a majority of these countries are African, Middle Eastern, and then one North Korea, which everybody knows. Now I want you guys to think about colonization. I want you guys to think about colonization. And I also want you guys to think about immigration. These countries on this list right here, they don't allow massive amount of immigration. These countries are very clean. These countries, let me tell you, these countries are very clean. They're pristine and they're very safe. Why? And then the Middle Eastern countries, and I'll jump right to the majority, because majority of the most dangerous countries were African. I'll jump right to Africa because of colonization. Colonization tore up an entire continent. Colonization tore up an entire continent where before modernization and statistic collecting, how we would have ever known the evolution of Africa, how we would have ever known if it wasn't stopped and stumped even before it got into its baby stage, how we would have known. A country with a continent with the most resources in the world have the most dangerous countries on the list. Were the same countries that was part of the colonization and the thievery and the brutality and the chaos are the top 10 safest countries in the world, with some of the lowest rates of immigration. I didn't say the UK. They have plenty of immigration. They have plenty of immigrants. But when you look at these countries, they got immigrants, but not that many. A lot of these, probably suffer, just as well as some of the Asian countries suffer from over tourism, but they will go find you and put you out. But you never hear these countries. You never hear these countries on television. You just never hear them. You don't hear anything about their politics. Let me show you these countries. Let me go ahead. You hear nothing about these countries' politics, their crimes. You don't hear nothing. You only hear great, sweet things. Oh, I want to go ski from the top mountains of Switzerland. I want to go see the beautiful, tall, blonde-headed women and ski in Sweden. I want to go to Denmark and have this biscuit, and I want to go to Canada, eh? I wonder what it was Finland was like when the Vikings were there, and New Zealand. I want to go to Belgium and actually have a Belgian waffle. You don't hear nothing about their politics, their crime, but they're part of the top 10 safest countries. You know why? Majority of them are the same race. Majority of them are the same race. Not all of them. And a greater majority of them, even more than the population, had the same ideology that, again, is their culture. What happens when colonizers go into countries in their efficacy before they can establish well, solid governments and militaries and social and really build a culture? What if it is already built? What if the culture is built, the government, the chief is built? What if all those things is built? And because you had more powerful weapons, because these group of people are earth people. They're growing things. They're figuring out irrigation from Earth's gravity. They have fine gems that they dress themselves in. And they still deal in commerce and trade. They go to war and battle every now and again. But a superior force comes in and not only kill a lot of the people, trade a lot of the people into slavery, but you colonize them, meaning that we're going to keep you here, but imprison you in your own land. And we're going to make you learn our languages and have our customs and our rules and the riches that we extrapolate from your earth. We're going to make our countries beautiful. We're going to make our infrastructures great, at the same time dismantling everything that you have. Then 200 to 300 years later, we're going to have people to believe that all of you guys are criminals, that you're scum, that you're animals, that you need to be controlled. And we're going to show that because we already put you 500 years behind technology and building business the way that the modern world does, because you guys didn't know how to do it. And you couldn't beat us because we had guns and cannons. And the only thing you guys has were bow and arrows and spears. Just wonder why those 10 countries was on the top 10 safest countries in the world. And I want to know why a majority of the African countries are on this list, why their people are committing genocide amongst one another, why their people are killing one another. Where do they get that ideology from? Just because you're from a different tribe, but we're the same people, that you start killing people from that tribe. No matter the conflict, no matter what they have not done to you, that you can't. Where do they get that ideology? Where did Africans get that ideology from? The corruption in their government, that destabilizes their infrastructure. Where do they get that ideology from? Is it possible they got their ideology from the 10 safest countries? I'm not saying this is all of them. This is part of them. We're not leaving out Great Britain, okay? None of the countries in the UK. None of the Eastern European countries either. They all had their ties to the destruction of black people. But yet their countries are safe. But most black people don't even want to go to African countries because a lot of black people, black Americans, not only do we think it, we know somebody who went and they verified that your infrastructure is not good. You could just be inside your hotel room, air conditioning cutting on, power cuts off. Now you hot because it's 110. I'll be more reasonable. 95 degrees outside. Then you got to go outside where it's hot because it's stuffy inside. Your bus system is late. You don't know if you're going to get kidnapped on the bus. You don't know if you're going to go around the wrong corner and they think that you're from another tribe and possibly get killed. Like, you just don't know. But how did that happen to Africa? Could it have been the 10 safest countries and their allies? Could have been. But it's been 300 years. Well, how long does it take to build a solid infrastructure? How long does it take, because of the brutality, because of the white supremacy, because of the colonialism that these countries have been to? How long does that take to be eradicated from one's mind? I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a psychiatrist. Maybe you know it's going to take 289 years. And just because people, right, no matter the race, no matter the religion, just because people are resilient, we're not only going to dismantle your country and take your resources and subjugate you. When we leave and when we left, we put puppets in your government so we can still control your country, living in our own country. And people don't think there's a system of white supremacy. You guys have a good night.